Okay, guys, welcome back to the Grimerica Show.
So we also have Dazzathecameraman coming up. We're talking about the lunar wave. We've got another opinion on that coming up.
We're in chat with David Gregg here from New Zealand. Some know him as Dazzathecameraman. Talking about some possible explanations for the lunar wave we talked about a couple of weeks ago. And I got to say, I seen the videos, and well, that's why
What videos?
we got in
Daz's
touch.
videos?
Yeah, when I seen that right away, I was pretty convinced right off the bat, which is why I kind of initiated contact, because I thought after we got all the feedback on that episode, on both sides, I thought it wouldn't be. After seeing that video, I felt like I couldn't go without sharing it with the audience. You know what I mean? I couldn't keep it to myself.
Right.
Because if we're all on this journey together, then
yeah, that's true. So thanks for coming on, Dazzathecameraman, or Dave.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So I guess maybe we just start with just a quick little bit of background about your sky watching and stuff like that.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Well, I've been interested in astronomy since I was a young lad. It's about almost 40 years now. And I certainly don't have any formal qualifications in astronomy, but I'm very involved with my local astronomical society, where I'm a committee member and very involved at the observatory. So yeah, with my interest in astronomy on YouTube, that started around about 4 years ago now, after a major earthquake in Christchurch here in New Zealand. And there's a particular chap in New Zealand, Ken Ring, who makes weather predictions based on moon phases. And he was making predictions of major earthquakes based on phases of the moon.
Wow.
And made a major prediction of an earthquake for Christchurch on the 20th of March 2011, which was when the supermoon event happened that year. And as a result, thousands of people left Christchurch out of fear. They'd already been through hell with the earthquakes. And that's where I really started getting into debunking. And it was through that discussion that I ended up setting up discussion and forums for debunking this sort of thing. Now,
what kind of thing were you talking about back then? Like, what were you debunking back then?
Well, as I say, he was making predictions of earthquakes based on the phases of the moon, particularly full moons and new moons, when, of course, the Earth, the Sun, and the Moon are pretty much in a straight line. And, it sounds like it's quite logical. It seems to make sense. We know that the Moon and the Sun, to a lesser degree, cause the ocean tides. So, therefore, it would seem logical that such alignments should cause stresses on the Earth that could trigger earthquakes. But what I did was I looked into the history of major earthquakes in New Zealand going back to about 150 years. And out of all of the major earthquakes, there are about 29 of them, which was quite convenient. Only one of them actually coincided with a full moon, and that was the 1931 Napier earthquake. All the rest of them were sort of fairly random, and in fact, what I found was, if anything, they tended not to be around the full moon and new moon, which was quite interesting, but I'm pretty sure that was just the random way that they fell.
Oh, okay, I see what you mean. All right. Fair enough. So then after that, you sort of got into just debunking things like that on YouTube?
Yeah, that's right. It was following discussions about the earthquake predictions that I was on a Facebook forum discussing this, and I pointed out that somebody's videos that they'd uploaded, an Australian chap called the Bar Caroller or Solar Watcher, who'd been making earthquake and planetary watch alignment videos. I looked at his work and found that, unfortunately, the astronomy software that he was using it incorrectly. He didn't have the orbits set to scale. He had them shown as all evenly spaced. Now, of course, most people know that the the orbits of the planets are not evenly spaced. The inner planets are fairly close together, and the outer planets are a lot further apart, and they get further apart the further you go out. And his alignments were based on charts with the orbit shown evenly spaced, which didn't work. So I was challenged when I pointed that out. I was challenged to prove it because people didn't believe me. So I thought, well, the easiest way to show is to make a video explaining it all, and that's what I did. And as I recall, that was my very first debunking video.
So I guess let's get into the wave then. So you how did you figure out how to look at that in a different way?
Okay, well, first of all, the history on that. I have a Facebook discussion page called Voices of Reason to Explain X, or VORTEX, and we encourage people to join up and post items that they're not sure about. You know, we see a lot of claims on YouTube videos and other posts online, so they can post them there, and we've got a number of people who are astronomers and people who are involved in different fields of science and different professionals, and they will give their expert opinions on things. And so I've had a number of people over the last year or so who have posted Crrow's videos on VORTEX and asked for my opinion and the opinion of others on VORTEX. And it was just under a year ago, I contacted Crrow, and he agreed to talk to me on Skype, and we talked for just under an hour. Now, that was after he had filmed his first lunar wave video, which I believe was filmed in 2012, if I remember correctly. And I was pretty sure that I knew exactly what he was seeing in that video, and that's why I wanted to talk to him on Skype so that I could screen share with him and show him using my astronomy software what I believe we were seeing. Now, talking to Crrow on Skype, and I should say I believe that he was very sincere in what he believes he's seeing. But after talking to him on Skype and confirming the date and the time that he was observing the moon, I found that the moon was actually 47 degrees high in the sky. Now, it had been my belief that he was actually filming the moon when it was very low down on the horizon, just a few degrees above the horizon, where you're looking through a lot of atmosphere and you get layering effects. In fact, I have a video, a time-lapse video of a super moonrise I filmed back in 2012.
Yeah, I saw that.
It shows that layering effect.
Really cool.
Yeah, so you can clearly see that layering effect. But as I say, that was when the moon was very low down on the horizon. So I was convinced that was the cause. But as I say, when I spoke to Crrow, I confirmed that the moon was actually just over halfway up in the sky. So it couldn't possibly have been that it was low down on the horizon. But that doesn't dismiss the fact that it could be an atmospheric effect by any means. Now, as it turns out, Crrow tells me that he recorded that conversation. I wasn't aware of that, but I've actually asked him to send me a full copy of that conversation so that I can bleep out any confidential private information of his and of mine, and then I would send it back to him so that he can review it and make sure what I've bleeped out is only what I should have bleeped out, and then we can both upload it to our YouTube channel so that everybody can hear it. I've asked him to do that, but unfortunately he hasn't responded to that so far. I hope he will. So the atmospheric effect. Okay, so it's not that the moon was low down on the horizon, but what else could it be? Well, I believe that it could be passing warm and cold air masses where you've got different temperature, different density of air, different humidity, and that certainly has effects on the light as it's coming through the atmosphere.
Like when you're looking at an oasis in the desert kind of thing?
Exactly. It's the same sort of thing. And in fact, it is exactly the same sort of thing that I filmed in my moonrise video. But the problem was with that was that the moon was so very low on the horizon.
Yeah.
And so, fair enough. They say, oh, well, it couldn't be that because the moon was high up in the sky. So, yeah, fair comment. So, but as I say, that doesn't mean to say that the atmospheric effects can't happen further up in the atmosphere. The other thing that I've been researching is a phenomena called atmospheric gravity or buoyancy waves. Now, these are not to be confused with gravitational waves.
Or the bow waves, is that what you're talking about, or is that a different thing again?
That's a different thing again. It's to do with different medium passing over each other, and you get a difference in density, and it causes these wave effects. In fact, ripples on a pond, when you drop a stone and you see ripples on the pond, it's a similar sort of thing. Now, the wind, the air currents on the ocean, as I understand it, can cause these gravitational waves in the ocean. So you've got gravitational waves in the ocean. You can also have atmospheric gravitational waves, and there are some very good videos, time-lapse videos, that actually show these gravitational waves moving through the atmosphere because of the way they affect the cloud masses and so on. And this is something that I intend to do a detailed video on, showing the effects of these gravitational waves and explaining it in more detail. But as you will have seen from my first videos, a few people had suggested to me that maybe it could be the effects of aircraft contrails, or the wake, the effects of the wake from aircraft, such as bow shock or whatever. And so I looked into that, and I was going through many, many videos of planes crossing the moon on YouTube, and I was just about to give up, thinking I'm getting nowhere with this, when I came across some very good videos by a YouTuber called Crosswind, who's obviously a plane spotter. He's a very skilled videographer and editor, and very clearly you can see these what certainly appear to look just like Crrow's lunar waves crossing the disk of the moon.
Yeah, that's definitely the most compelling footage I've seen, is the airplane one.
Yeah.
The second one, to me, there was two of them that you showed there. It was the second one that looked similar, yet I still find it looked a little bit different. Like it was hesitating throughout like it wasn't quite as smooth as that. Is there a reason why it's not quite the same?
Yeah, absolutely. And I would say it's the same reason why, we're talking about atmospherics here.
Yeah.
It's the same reason why when you go out and look up in the sky and you see a cloud, and then you turn around and look at another one, they don't look the same. We're talking about the effects of atmospherics, and I wouldn't expect the conditions to be exactly the same. You're talking about different aircraft. You're talking about different temperatures, different humidity, different density of air, different distance.
Different distance, right? Yeah.
Yeah, you've got so many factors coming into play that, they're going to be different, all right. And it's interesting, though, that there was another video on Crosswind's channel that I didn't notice earlier, and it's got some even better examples of the lunar wave. And, of course, I've been in contact with Crosswind, and he's given me his permission to share these clips. In fact, he sent me 2 clips, the original clips, so that I could analyze them and use the raw videos in my analysis video. But this other video that he's got uploaded actually shows even better examples than the ones I've shown. That's aside from the one the first one that you were talking about, that shows the wave that sort of swirls all around the moon quite spectacularly. I imagine that if that clip had been sent to Crrow without the aircraft flying over, nudge, nudge, wink, wink sort of thing, it would have been accepted as being a genuine lunar wave and a spectacular glitch in the moon hologram.
So what about the seasonal and the moon, this happening around the solstice, around a 3/4 moon type thing? Is that, what do you think, that's a coincidence, or is it because the moon is brighter at that point?
No, I think it is a coincidence, and certainly there are other so-called lunar wave events that have been filmed that were not around the equinox. I don't have the dates right in front of me, but certainly that is true.
And I was reading in some of your comments too, interesting comments in your on your YouTube video there, and some people were saying that they thought that the one from Crrow was refreshed, or actually the image was replaced. So, what is your thought about that theory?
Are you talking about a glitch in the camera? You mean?
No, that the actual the wave was actually like an image being refreshed, right? So I guess it would sort of be
a refresh rate in the image. Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
I think it's no, I don't think it's that. I think the comment was more about it being a different picture of the moon, like basically being replaced. I think they were a proponent of Crrow's like hologram type theory.
Okay. Well, obviously, I don't buy into the moon hologram theory at all.
So you don't think that image showed it being replaced with another image then?
Oh, no, absolutely not. We're seeing an atmospheric wave that is being caused. As I say, I tend to think it's most likely passing a warm and cold air masses, but I have demonstrated that it can certainly be caused by aircraft. I should be clear that I don't believe that that all of Crrow's lunar wave videos, or necessarily any of them, are actually caused by aircraft. Okay, I've simply demonstrated that an atmospheric layering effect can occur, which creates exactly the type of effect that we see in Crrow's lunar wave videos.
Right.
But to qualify that, I should also point out that, and this is a point that a lot of people don't realize. We see that great big spectacular full moon coming up over the horizon, and it looks huge. Especially if you've got buildings on the distant horizon, because it's an optical illusion.
Yeah.
When you've got distant scenery, it makes the moon look a lot bigger than it really is. But the moon is only half of 1 degree across. Okay. Now there's an interesting little experiment that you can do. If you take a standard 8-inch drinking straw and hold it up to your eye and use it like a telescope when the full moon is in the sky, you can actually see that great big full moon through that drinking straw. In fact, you would fit the moon in that drinking straw side by side 3 times. Okay. So when you're looking at the moon through a telescope, you're looking at an incredibly tiny little spot in the sky. And it would be extremely easy for an aircraft to fly right by the moon and leave a wake, a bow shock that would then sweep across the moon and create a lunar wave. And in fact, my good friend Astronomy Live on YouTube filmed exactly that just a few days ago. He set up to film the moon. He had invited Crrow to film the moon simultaneously with him to see if they could both film this phenomena at the same time. And about 2 minutes after he set up, by pure chance, a plane actually flew right by the moon and caused the distortion, which he saw. We didn't see the plane, but we saw the distortion. Now, to me, it wasn't a clear lunar wave, but you could certainly see the effects.
Yeah, I think that was just more of I think that's like a ratio thing. If you were zoomed in closer, I think the wave would have been a little more pronounced even. I don't know. Like I say, the plane thing is what basically told me that if it's not a plane, at least it seems like there's a lot of other possible explanations that I'm saying that maybe, Crrow's wave is legit, but it's not, the hologram is definitely not the Occam's razor.
Oh, absolutely. And there's no doubt in my mind whatsoever that Crrow is actually filming a very real atmospheric phenomena.
Yeah.
It's atmospheric layering. And he's actually done very well to make those captures, because it's not something that you see very often. And I was fortunate to find those examples in the aircraft videos. There's another point that's been raised that people have suggested the causes. In fact, there's a couple, and one of them is it has been suggested that the wave is caused by some sort of digital refresh on the camera, causing like a lack of synchronization of the image and the camera, causing the wave to sweep across the image field. Now, to be fair to Crrow, he's actually proved beyond any doubt that that is not the case, because in that, I think it was his very first capture of the lunar wave, as the wave came into view on the bottom of the screen, and he didn't notice it, he certainly wasn't expecting it, he tilted the camera up, which meant the wave then disappeared off the bottom of the screen, and then it took a couple of seconds to catch up, and then it swept across the field from bottom to top. Now, if it had been a digital effect, that would have never happened. So that is certainly proof that he was filming a real event.
Yeah, yeah.
And the other thing that has been raised is, some people have suggested that Crrow has actually used his editing software to actually create that effect by using a dissolve effect or layering effect. I don't believe that for one moment. In fact, I've defended Crrow myself on that, saying no, I reject that suggestion. But I can understand why people thought that might have been the case. But again, that clip where he tilted his camera down, tilted it up, proves that it was a real event. He would have had to have done some clever editing to do that, and I don't see why he would have done that.
Yeah. So you guys have spent a lot of time looking at the sky, and you're part of these astronomy groups and all that. Have you or any of your friends seen any anomalous, like, aerial objects flying around up there?
A few years ago, and I think the story's worth telling because that is a question that I'm asked all the time.
Okay, yeah.
A few years ago, I was seeing a visitor off at night, and we're outside, and I looked up in the sky, and I saw these incredible, strange lights buzzing around in the sky in the clouds. And in all my years of looking at the sky, this is probably 30 years of looking at the sky, I'd never seen anything like it. And my visitor and I looked at these lights, and I could not explain it. And to me, it looked like cars being driven around inside the clouds with their headlights on. It was truly bizarre. So the next day, being the debunker that I am, I phoned the local airport and explained what I'd seen and asked them about it. Now, next to the airport here where I live, there is an air museum, and they hold functions there. You can hire the place. And there was a private function on that night, and they were using the old air raid searchlights as part of the event. Now, the location of the air museum was on the other side of the harbour from where I lived at the time. So they were shining those searchlights up onto the backs of the clouds that I was looking at. Right, I was looking at the fronts of the cloud. They were shining them on the backs of the cloud, and I was seeing the searchlight lighting up the backs of those clouds, and for all the world, it looked like cars driving around inside the clouds.
Wow.
So, mystery solved. And apart from that one event, no, I've never seen anything that could not be identified or explained.
Or your buddies too? Nothing from them?
No, I can't think of anything particular. I know that one of the guys used to be a member of the local UFO group.
Yeah.
Which was interesting. I mean, I checked that out 2 years and years ago.
Yeah.
And also my father, who has since passed away, he reported seeing UFOs back in 1953, I think it was. Same location as where I am, over the harbour. And he couldn't explain what he saw either. But from the descriptions that he gave, I sort of I wonder if he actually saw the same thing that I was seeing, and that was a searchlight being used on the clouds. Because even as an amateur astronomer, when I saw them, I could not explain them. But once the information that I was given certainly fitted with what I saw, and I have no doubt. I'm sure that some people will be saying, "Oh, well, they would tell you that story, wouldn't they? They're trying to cover up." But I've got no reason to doubt the story that I was given about the event and the searchlights and all of that.
Yeah, there's a lot of legitimate explanations out there. I mean, there's Chinese lanterns and flares and searchlights in the clouds and all kinds of stuff. What do you think about a lot of the pretty strong evidence that's out there for UFOs? Do you have a strong opinion either way? Are you open-minded to it, or?
Well, I am open-minded, certainly, but I think it's important to consider some facts, and that we have to remember that our nearest star, apart from the sun, of course, which is also a star, the nearest star is 4.25 light years away from us. So traveling at the speed of light, it would take 4.25 years to get here from there, or get there from here. Okay?
Well, I wasn't mentioning ETH. I'm just talking, there could be all kinds of different reasons, right? It doesn't have to be ETs, could be Black Project craft or stuff that is, not just normally flying around in the skies.
Oh, yeah, sure. And I believe that some of those so-called UFO sightings, and that's really a misnomer, isn't it, UFO?
Yeah, everybody jumps to the ET thing right off the bat.
Yeah, and that's why I assumed that's what you were talking about.
That's why I tried to say anomalous aerial phenomena, just to not go right down that path so quickly. But
right, okay. So some of those unidentified objects have certainly turned out to be classified military aircraft. We used to hear about these flying triangles and things like that. Now, the old stealth bomber was like nothing that we'd seen before. And that was very top secret initially. And now we all know what they look like. And they're very unusual looking aircraft. And if you'd never seen one before, it certainly doesn't look like any ordinary airplane. So you'd easily mistake it for who knows what.
Yeah.
And I've got no doubt that I don't deny that the government keep some things secret. I mean, obviously, that's in their interest to keep some things secret as far as military and defence is concerned. So I'm sure that there are some aircraft and spacecraft that that we know very little about.
What about, have you? I guess you call yourself a debunker. Have you ever found anything that you haven't been able to crack yet?
Just trying to think. I mean, there are always topics that you can discuss and pick apart, but you'll never agree on or get to a undeniable conclusion on. And, topics which are very controversial, such as 9/11 and what happened with the Twin Towers. There are all sorts of aspects that you can debate and get down to the nitty-gritty and provide all sorts of evidence. And for every piece of evidence, this is what I found, is that for every bit of evidence, there's always counter-evidence,
Yeah.
And I have discussed that. One of my videos, I debunked a video that was supposedly showed that the aircraft were holographic, or that's probably the best description for them, because in the video it appears that the wingtip of one of the planes, as it's flying in, disappears behind a building that is appears. I'll put it this way: the wingtip disappears where it shouldn't disappear.
Yeah.
But it's actually an optical illusion, and I explain that and demonstrate that in my video. So under that video, there has been a lot of discussion about 9/11 and whether it was a conspiracy and whether explosives were used and all that sort of thing. So, yeah.
Well, what do you think about some of the the less controversial, what should I say, fringe topics or paranormal type stuff? Not even paranormal, but like consciousness being, part of your brain, or us being just sort of biological robots, that type of stuff. Like, what do you think about some of the research you're doing with, near-death experiences or lucid dreaming, out-of-body experiences, that kind of stuff? Do you ever?
Well, I guess it's hard to say when it's something that you haven't experienced yourself,
Yeah.
But having said that, we all dream, and there's a stage of your sleep where you can actually be waking up or falling asleep, and you're halfway between conscious and sleep. I can't remember which way around the two names are, but they're called hypnagogic.
Yeah.
Hypnagogic, is it? Yep. And hypnopompic. Okay. So depending on whether you're waking up or whether you're going to sleep, and I have actually experienced that. Remember waking up one morning and I opened my eyes, or at least I thought I opened my eyes, and I saw this incredible 3D hologram of the universe or the solar system, and it just looked incredible. I just couldn't believe what I was seeing, and then I blinked and it was gone. And I've got no doubt that that was simply a dream. It was that hypnagogic state that I was in as I was halfway between sleep and waking up. And of course, I'm interested in astronomy. So what do you think I'm going to dream about?
Yeah, could be a little good old day residue. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, we want to thank you for coming on. Is there anything else you want to say before we let you go?
Well, certainly if people would like to check out further information about these videos, whether it's Crrow and the Lunar Wave or any other topics, they can check out my Facebook page, which is Voices of Reason to Explain X, VORTEX, and my YouTube channel, Dazzathecameraman. So thank you guys for hosting me.
Hey, no problem. We'll link to all that in the show notes too, so people can just click on it and go to your stuff.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Keep your eyes on the skies. I hope you get to see a pretty undeniable UFO at some point.
You never know.
Yeah, let us know if you do for sure.
Certainly will.
Okay. Thanks, buddy. Are we in the chat room? Everything okay over there, buddy?
All good. That was good.
You just fucking sit back and laugh at me, don't you?
Yeah, pretty much.
Jesus Christ, eh? I might have to do something about that one day.
What are you gonna
You're
do?
just fucking sketching me on the table.
I love the new table.
You know, people are going to hear your giggle and then complain about it, you know?
That's fine.
Oh. Well, we want to thank everybody for hanging out in the chat room. I don't know if we'll keep that thing going or not, but
Chat room?
yeah.
Like 20 people in there chatting up a storm.
Well, at least I can't.
It's the most lookable.
There was no questions or anything like that during it, or? Anyways, we are dead air is never good, so. And I'm not,
No.
I can't talk like Micah Hanks, so maybe we should
The mouth, the sound.
say goodnight, eh?
Yeah, thanks for joining us, guys. Tune in next week. What's next week?
Rod,
Who's
Atomic
next week?
Rod
Is
Adams?
it
Or
Atomic
no, it
Rod?
might be,
no, it's the Heaven dude.
Yeah, it's Garnet Schellhauser. And he's talking about messages from the other side kind of stuff. He's had some near-death experiences, and he's we're going to get into that again. So looking forward to that.
Well, big thanks to Dazza for joining us there, and I don't know, maybe talking some sense into us. What do you think?
No, I don't think so.
Take more than that.
I think, who was it that commented in the chat room that he might be a little too down to earth for Grimerica? Yeah, a little too skeptical for my taste, but it was good to chat with him. Wanted to get his take on some of the other stuff, and I like what he's done with the lunar wave. I mean, it is pretty...
Yeah, that was the main reason. Is that I think that's the main reason we had him on. That might have caught a few of you guys off guard, but the main reason we had him on the show was because, for me anyway, it was pretty definitive that the lunar wave was something other than the moon being a hologram and shit. And the episode had stirred up so much commotion that it seeed like I should
seemed like
share
the right thing to do.
the right thing to do is kind of share where we're on our path instead of just leaving, all you guys spinning. Well, we've kind of moved on to other things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because
No,
for me, that kind of solves it. Like, as far as everything else, he's talking about, obviously I'm still open-minded about all that things, but as far as I'm concerned, the lunar wave is an atmospheric phenomenon, whether it's from a plane or something else. I don't think I ever thought it was a hologram. Let's be realistic, but
well, it's
now I don't entertain it, but at the same time, like, there's probably some good there, right?
Yeah, but I
Like,
mean, Crow's got a lot of good
I
good footage
like
of other stuff.
it's
The
weird.
chemtrails
It's
and the
weird
orbs and
because
the UFOs and
it's
stuff.
weird because it spun me around closer to chemtrails, which I was off before. Instead of
Yeah.
now the lunar wave's kind of gone for me, but I'm more into chemtrails because of Crow.
Yeah, exactly. You know what? I got some feedback. Speaking of that, if you don't mind, right now,
Oops.
it's from our buddy Harold in Florida, and he was talking about our episode, and he listened to us and THC, and he's saying who knows what's really plausible, but he says, you know what? After listening to Crow, I got my telescope out and looked at the moon for a long time, and I had not done that in years. You know what? The moon, it's really beautiful, and I don't think I ever looked at it that way before. It was no longer just the moon. It was something that I studied. I was making observations. I was trying to figure it out. Not just look at this crater and that name and, oh, we landed there. So is Crow right? Who could say? Maybe he's onto something or maybe he's full of shit. But he got me to look at the moon again and to really look at it. Hopefully he got others to do the same. So thank you, Crow. Now he's saying it's fantastic that it's a controversial show. And he's like, what's the problem? It's a milestone for us. You stirred the pot up a little bit. And maybe some people question their beliefs or ideas. If everyone believed everything that you guys had on the show, then we'd be back to the problems that we have now. Getting back to the problems that we have now. Here's the truth. Believe it and don't question. And he says that's bullshit. You both said that you felt bad that you maybe didn't question Crow a little bit. He says, no, you did fine. Your style of letting the guests talk is great. Don't change at all. Your show is an entity all to itself. Just remember the saying, love me, hate me, at least you know me. We know Grimerica. Keep up the good work.
Yeah, kind words from our buddy Harold. He's only sent us spam, right?
Yeah.
Still
Spam
a
is
count
right up on
left
your
there.
shelf there. I'm starving too.
Still good for another year.
So yeah, thanks
That's just
Dazza.
it. That's kind of one thing I wanted to address. Is that's one thing that we definitely try not to do here is argue with any guests. Or that's not what we're here for. We're gonna be respectful. Let them talk about whatever they want to talk about, and entertain it, and leave it up to the listener to decide. And I mean, most of the stuff we are fairly on board with. Graham's on board with everything.
Shut up.
All the time.
No, but we've had a couple of people say that they like the style of us letting the people talk. So even when we had Daz on here, right? I'm not gonna, I'm gonna let him talk. Let us say his thing. I might not agree with everything he says, but